Hey guys, welcome back to Once Upon a Tiny Farm. My name's Drew. Today we're going to continue on with our growing sweet potatoes series, and we are going to plant some sweet potato slips today. And I'll show you how my process for doing that is in this video. So stick around.
So why don't we go somewhere only we know?
Alright, so I showed you in our last video how I was cutting my sweet potato slips off from the sweet potato, and I was putting them in a jar of water. And you can see here how much these have rooted in that water. That was about maybe 2 weeks ago. And this is not all of my sweet potato slips. I still have quite a bit more growing, so I might have like 6 or 7 slips here. But these are ready. I want to get them in the ground now. The longer they're in the ground, the bigger, harvest of sweet potato, the larger the sweet potatoes will get. And so maybe these will get a little bit bigger, and the ones I plant maybe a week or two from now will be maybe a little bit smaller in size. And that's good for some, different dishes, whatever you're doing. But in this video, I'm going to show you how I plant these. This bed is about 20 feet long. I had a tarp on it since last year. I just took it off. All the weeds basically have died, and I'm going to have to come in here with a rake out all this dead weed debris, and I'm going to come in with a broad fork to aerate this soil and let it breathe a little bit, and that will help. That's something that I do with my carrot beds. I did a video on how I plant carrots, if you want to check that out. And I use the broad fork for that. I'm going to use the broad fork for this bed as well. I'm going to broad fork it, aerate the soil, and I'm going to add some amendments and some more compost. And it's kind of be a deep soil mound here. And I'm going to be planting these sweet potato slips about 12 inches apart. And I know some people probably do a little bit further apart with the spacing, something like 18 inches to 24 inches to really give them a lot of space to grow. But I'm limited in my growing space here, so I'm just going to plant them 12 inches apart. That's what I did last year, and I had a really, really nice harvest last year. So I'm going to do that again this year. I'm going to plant the first few slips that I have here, and let's get started. So next, now that I have aerated the soil like you just saw me do with the broad fork, I'm going to add my soil amendments here. These sweet potatoes are going to be in the ground for a long time. You want them to have the food to really grow well and thrive. What I'm going to be using is rabbit manure. I got this rabbit manure. I get it now weekly from a weekly delivery of rabbit poop from my neighbor who has rabbits. And rabbit manure is super rich in all the vitamins and nutrients that your garden needs. And tubers and things that grow in the ground like onions and carrots, potatoes, they need phosphorus. And that's one thing that you'll find in this rabbit manure, which is really cool. It also has nitrogen too. It has everything. But the best thing about rabbit manure, unlike chicken manure, is with rabbit manure, it's considered a cold manure, meaning you could put it directly onto your garden soil. The chicken manure is a hot manure, meaning it would burn the roots of those plants. It might burn it's too much nitrogen, so it needs to be composted down before you can use it directly on your soil. Rabbit manure, I could put it right on, and I've already aerated this soil So this manure is gonna go deep down into the soil and feed these sweet potatoes for a long time. So that's what I'm gonna do now, mix all this in. I'll rake it in, along with the compost I'm gonna add next. Next, like I said, I'm gonna add some compost on top here. Sweet potatoes, unlike regular potatoes you'll plant them and they don't go deeper. You'll plant a potato and all the potatoes will grow right above where you planted that potato. So sweet potatoes will grow very deep and they will really burrow their way, those tubers, deeper into the soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be planting right down the center of this row. This row is 30 inches wide. I'm going to be planting them, like I said, 12 inches apart and right down the center. So where I'm going to be putting 2 5-gallon buckets of compost, but I'm going to be focusing right down the center here. So I'm going to be putting it right on the center just to give them a little bit more space to get started and allow them to grow a little bit deeper. Now I'm going to rake this in real nice and we're going to plant our slips. All right, now I'm going to get all these slips in the ground. They've been sitting out a little bit too long. I'm going to put them in right where I see the roots stop. I'm going to put them a little bit above where those roots are. There we go. One. Another thing I'm going to be doing is watering these in really, really well. I noticed last year when I did this, they didn't look very good at first. They kind of look like they're wilting and they're dying, but once they get acclimated to the soil, start growing more roots, they liven back up, and then before you know it, these vines will be taking over this whole area. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to water these in. I only put about 7 starts in here. But like I said, we were just doing a couple to get this started, get these growing. Maybe the first few on this row we'll come back and see in a few months. We'll see how big these sweet potatoes have grown. All right, now we're just going to give these guys a nice deep watering. Don't die on me, fellas. You'll be all right. Another thing I didn't mention, I actually put a handful of, that is worm castings, that I've mixed in here with this watering can. And this is kind of acting as a tea, I guess. It's not like an aerated tea, but it will get some of this, it's diluted, but it is good beneficial bacteria from the worm castings that will hopefully get these guys off to a good start. And that is all there is to planting sweet potatoes. We'll come back in about 3.5, 4 months, and hopefully I will have, well, in a few weeks I'm going to plant the rest of my starts. As they get a little bit bigger, I will finish out planting this row, and yeah, in a couple months we will come back and see the harvest. That's the best part, but all the hard work you have to put in first in order to get that harvest. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this video on planting your sweet potato slips. Hope you enjoyed it, found some value in it. Let me know in the comments if you're planting sweet potatoes this year as well. Let me know how you're doing. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.